round of applause for Calais. I did my part. I got it. I got mine because I wanted to protect myself and my family. Ultimately, I did it because I was terrified that I would catch COVID again and die. My happy, predictable daily life came to a screeching halt. I can no longer cook, clean, or even pick up and hold my baby for too long before my body begins to shake uncontrollably or is thrown into excruciating amounts of pain. My quiet life has suddenly become very public. And with that has come so much ugliness and bitterness from people who know just the surface of what's happened to me after this vaccine. I have been called a liar and a fake, and have even been told by the ER doctors that this is all in my head. I'm hoping to share my story in an effort to give others going through what I'm going through a voice and to show them that they don't have to be afraid. So for everyone suffering, for everyone being pushed, guilted, and frightened, I see you, I hear you, I believe you, I love you. I love all of you because that is the only thing that is going to get us through this. Thank you, guys.
Drug companies have spent $4.5 billion on lobbying and campaign contributions.
In today's world, Big Pharma decides whether you live or die, and that makes them dangerously powerful.
Mr. Chairman, it is a sad fact that we regulate industries such as machinery and automobiles far better than we do those that affect what may be placed in our bodies.
Pfizer received the biggest criminal fine in US history for mispromoting medicines and for paying kickbacks to compliant doctors.
They're getting paid by the pharmaceutical industry, by the very companies that they're supposed to oversee and to protect us from, that they're supposed to oversee, that they're protect us from.
Well, as far as doctors go, you've certainly seen the best.
The best don't exist anymore. The best are dead.
Well, I don't know about that.
You're the exception, Harry. I didn't mean you. Harry, am I going to die?
I'm afraid so.
My name is Brianne Dressen. I am a 41-year-old preschool teacher.
Everybody, clap, clap, clap. Eyes on the teacher, hands in your lap.
And mother of 2 young kids.
I love you.
I love you.
I met Bree in college when we were both at a climbing gym at an outdoor club event. I saw her climbing with a friend and I thought she was really cute, and we got to talking and set up a time to climb outside together, and a little while later started dating.
He was really kind of a quirky guy when we met.
That's the world's greatest dad.
Even though he was very structured and regimented, he still would go jump out of a plane with me and go skydiving or do all these weird trips.
Anytime we could be outside, that's what we've always done.
I married my best friend, I really did.
We have a saying in our relationship, and it's no matter what. I choose you, you choose me. As long as we were together, we would get through everything. No matter what.
It was very scary because they were preparing us for something very bad.
U.S. health authorities tonight say there's no doubt we'll see more of this. Americans sick with the coronavirus who need to be kept in isolation.
I had never been in that circumstance before, so part of the preparation was some of us were elected to go to Rochester to do mass casualty training.
Yeah, I would say it was pretty terrifying to need to be in close proximity with patients that might be giving us a disease that could potentially be fatal.
The clinics closed, the operating rooms closed. Hospitals just became emergency rooms.
I've been through 9/11, Metro North disaster, flipped over tour buses. This is absolutely the worst.
As a physician, I certainly have a little bit more medical knowledge than some in the lay public, but everyone was instilled with fear. So was I.
Tonight, the death toll nationwide has now reached more than 16,000.
During COVID time, I became a news junkie. I never turned my television off.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're becoming crushed under a tidal wave of unfathomable numbers.
The United States now has the most cases of any country in the world, more than 83,000, which means it has surpassed.
Yeah, so when COVID hit, we're like, you know what? We're going to rise above this. This is going to be a big deal. We're going to teach the kids that it's great. So the kids were stuck at home and they hated learning from me, even though I was a teacher.
Nothing's happening.
What's happening?
Nothing's happening. It smells like brown sugar. Let me smell this other.
How did you get on top of the car?
But we really wanted to make the best of it, right? I mean, it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Infectious disease experts call it flattening the curve. Should this fail, people in this country, perhaps people you know, will unnecessarily die in a system that can't.
Stay home for 2 weeks, right? That's where it all started.
Brianne actually went out and collected N95 masks and took them to the hospitals so that the staff would have masks to protect themselves as they were treating COVID patients. We wore masks everywhere we went, we used hand sanitizer, we stayed away from everybody. You know, if the CDC said, do this, we did it.
Today I want to update you on the next stage of this momentous medical initiative. It's called Operation Warp Speed.
Dozens of pharmaceutical companies and biotech firms now working simultaneously on a cure.
When a COVID-19 vaccine is made, it'll be big news.
Dozens of companies in multiple countries racing to be the first to create a COVID-19 vaccine.
Pfizer could soon take a critical role in the COVID-19 battle.
Moderna is performing the first human trial for coronavirus.
AstraZeneca says it's enrolling 30,000 Americans in the late-stage clinical trial and another 20,000 outside the country.
In your hands will rest the final success or failure of our course. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
So my friends are healthcare workers, and they found out about the clinical trial, and they said, hey, do you want to sign up with us? And I said, yeah. I qualified as high risk because of my preschool teacher job.
There is no laughing in preschool.
In normal times, it would take 10 to 15 years to get a vaccine to market. Now some companies have reached the clinical trial phase in a matter of months.
I had been accepted into the trial, and then I didn't hear from them for like 5-6 weeks, and I didn't realize it, but at the time it was because the clinical trial had been put on hold because there were issues with AstraZeneca in the UK.
Another drug company hits the pause button on its clinical trial.
AstraZeneca is investigating what caused a patient to have a serious side effect.
There was a case of transverse myelitis and a case of MS.
The patient suffered from a rare spinal inflammatory disorder.
This disease interrupts the messages that the spinal cord nerves send throughout the body, and this can cause pain, muscle weakness, paralysis, sensory problems, or even a bladder and bowel dysfunction.
As soon as the trial resumed, I was in the first batch of people that got contacted to come in.
Dr. Robert Frank says today, for the first time, 7 children between the ages of 12 and 15 enrolled in the Pfizer vaccine trial and were given a first dose.
And first of all, I'd just like to thank you very much for volunteering for this trial, because without you, we never could do this very important research.
Knowing that a vaccine was coming, I was excited. I was like, okay, this is going to end it. I wanted to be the first in line.
Our kids actually came to us with it and said, you know, hey, heard this at school. Some of my friends went ahead and signed up for it, and you know, it looked good. We're pro-science, pro-health, you know, we're educated people, and we want to help.
My name is Maddie DeGarry. I'm 13 years old. I used to do a lot of sports, but like before I got sick, and yeah, I don't know what else to say.
So what are the possible known risks? First, as I mentioned, is the reactogenicity from the vaccine. What we have seen is that if people are going to get symptoms, they seem to have fatigue, headache, and fever.
The side effects were essentially the normal side effects from like a flu, having the flu.
If you think about like when you had a bad cold and how you kind of feel like that for a day. And a lot of people said, well, why do you get those side effects? And I think about that really as showing that our body is responding well to the vaccine.
Right now I'm feeling pretty good, but even just a few minutes ago before I had a snack, I was like, holy cow, this does not feel right. But I don't know, I'm feeling a lot better now. My arm's just a little bit sore. Yeah, that's about it. My ears were ringing for a little bit. I had a little bit of a headache, but the snack fixed it.
It is a swing county. Trump won it last time. We expect it to be very close. This is what you can see. This is today's vote and what we're waiting on here, obviously.
Later that night, my vision went double, and it sounded like I had seashells on my ears, so sound had become distorted. And I remember looking at my husband and just saying, something's not right.
I'm starting to drop those results right now. It's because of the massive investment people are.
It's until after the second shot that we really saw things get bad quickly.
So what's going on right now?
I'm shaking.
What's wrong with your arm?
There was electrical shocks going through her body. You couldn't touch her back.
Her fingers were white, they were ice cold, swollen.
I called the nurse line, told them what was going on, and they directed us to go to the ER.
I mean, it was the scariest thing I've ever seen, but I honestly, at that point, I'm like, okay, she's in a trial, they're gonna take care of her. Like, that's what happens, you know, things can happen, they will figure this out, she will be okay.
In the morning, the sensitivity to sound and light were still there. And that was the last day that I taught.
The first thing we did, because the contract said, you know, if you experience any problems, call the test clinic, right? I run her back up to the test clinic. They do an exam and they say, you might have MS, so you need to go to a neurologist and get that looked at.
They, you know, said, hey, you know, you're just reacting to the vaccine, this is normal, and they sent her home.
Maddie. Hey, babe. Days and weeks had gone by after several trips to the emergency room. Well, now she started having syncope. She was passing out.
Breathe. Come on, Maddie. Maddie.
Breathe, breathe, breathe. Okay. Breathe, breathe, breathe.
Maddie!
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I think we might go back to the hospital today, okay?
My blood pressure is off the charts. My heart rate is off the charts. My skin felt like it was on fire. My body was on full-on attack mode. The neurologist came in and sat down on my bed and said, you know, COVID's a really hard time. It's a really stressful time on everybody. We see it here in the hospital, you know, it's really scary. And I think maybe what happened is you got really excited and you got this vaccine and you just kind of had a mental breakdown.
Maybe you have anxiety. Why don't you just go home and try to relax?
They blamed all of this on anxiety. If you look at her charts prior to this, she never had anxiety in her charts.
They took the adverse reactions to the vaccine off the table. Not another visit from Children's had said COVID-19 adverse reactions.
So I was sent home after a diagnosis of anxiety due to the COVID vaccine.
Oxford University, partnered with AstraZeneca, is expected to release results of its trials shortly. Sources say it could even be the first to be rolled out.
Today, the Oakland Coliseum will become one of the largest mass vaccination sites in California.
Any way out of that situation was positive.
I dropped everything and ran as quickly as I could and got in line.
I thought I was really doing something, you know, that I happened to be one of the first.
I just figured that as Americans concerned about others
we would just do it.
My dad's 60 years old. He's not in the greatest health. Everybody has somebody that relies on them.
I would have been devastated should I have gotten sick without trying to prevent something.
You know, we all get this wonderful vaccine, we all move on with our lives, and we're done.
6,000 people can be vaccinated here behind me on a daily basis. They don't even have to get out of their car to get their shot.
After the first shot, as soon as I pulled out onto the street, my entire face just started tingling.
My face started burning and my vision became a little blurred.
I started getting a headache. It was just a very odd headache. Never had a headache like that before.
Then that pain began coming back up into my chest area.
It literally ripped down my arm. I never felt anything like that in my whole life.
I started feeling tremors, twitching, like it was vibrating inside.
I guess the best way to describe it was like a cell phone inside my body, buzzing and zapping.
I knew I was blacking out, and there was no way to stop it.
Burning in my rib cage, spine, pain in all my joints.
My hips felt like somebody had a ratchet strap around my waist, getting tighter.
I remember kind of coming to, sitting on the couch in our office, wondering why I'm shaking so bad.
2 hours after the vaccine in my left arm, the tremor started.
36 hours later, had nausea, vomiting, and then started having trouble breathing.
The chest pain started, then my heart rate shot up. It was really, really high.
I was like on the floor, like nearly having a heart attack.
My feet went numb, my hands went numb. I could not feel my hands or feet. My legs were tingling.
I could feel my body and everything shutting down.
I tried to stand up and my legs wouldn't move. And then I pushed myself off the table and then fell. No response from my legs.
You know how when you hold a baby up and if you let that baby go, how they just, that's what happened.
2 o'clock in the morning, just before 2 o'clock, I woke up and I couldn't move at all.
I can't feel my legs. I can't feel anything.
I realized at that point something bad was happening.
So this started out with tingling in my arm the day I got the shot. So it was pins and needles in my hand the very first day. And then it turned into blurry vision, so I couldn't see straight.
The symptoms just kept stacking. Felt like I had acid going up and down in my veins, and it fluctuated with my heart rate. Right now with my problem, I have to sleep, and I have to sleep a lot, and it's really, really hard for me.
The kids couldn't be near her, they couldn't touch her. The sound of my pants walking by, the swishing of my pants was too loud. If you tried to talk to her, she couldn't say more than 1 or 2 words before just becoming overwhelmed and telling you to go away.
This week marks 4 months of sickness, so I'm doing a lot better, but still a long ways from being independent, so. But, so that's gonna be my week. And then it turned into this incredibly super sensitive sound issue to where my ears are ringing so bad all the time that even just me talking right now is making my ears ring.
She was removed from my life, my kid's life, from her own life. Just completely isolated, hollowed out, suffering. And we weren't getting any answers. It all changed the day of her shot.
Brian is going to get his vaccine on Wednesday, so that'll be good. Because if he got COVID, there really wasn't going to be anyone here to take care of him.
We'll just give a good old Nick.
There he is. Hey, buddy. I know. What are you doing? Come on, here. Here.
Late February, early March, that's when we really started seeing odd things in the emergency room and in the hospital wards.
An alarming new study out of Harvard confirming an increase in heart attacks among young adults.
We're now sometimes seeing upwards of 7 heart attacks in our emergency room in a month's time.
And it was after vaccination rollout, not before.
What I was seeing was a lot of patients who were coming in with brand new arrhythmias. They had never had an arrhythmia before.
Like 20, 30-year-old people, perfectly healthy, no comorbidities, very active coming in, and they've got blood clots, just like multiple ones. And then you look at their chart and there's no reason for this to happen. But when you go to their vaccine history, sure enough, you'd see, oh, they took the shot a week ago. They took the shot 2 weeks ago. Every single one was like that.
So our hospital system is a vaccination center. You sign a kind of a contract with the CDC. One of the things that you agree to is that you'll report any adverse side effects to the vaccine adverse event reporting system. I didn't know anything about what VAERS was, what it stood for, what our responsibilities were. That was never educated as part of the vaccine rollout. So I started learning how to report these patients on my own, and it was through a lot of trial and error.
This is a tote bag of all of my patients. They just keep coming. But all of these ones here are the ones that I have officially reported. This stack of patients are patients that still need reports to be done. I would say there are close to 200 patients in this stack. So when my hospital told me I could no longer report on patients that weren't my own, I had to stop reporting.
From what our risk team is telling us is that really you can only be reporting on the patients that you are providing direct care for.
And I said, well, are you going to tell the providers that this is their responsibility? Are you going to send out some email, do some education? No. But I said to them, you're a vaccine center. You signed a contract with the CDC that said you will assure that reports be made. You're not doing that.
We do, on some level, need to kind of sort of, for lack of a better way of saying it, we sort of, we toe the company line. That's part of our responsibility is to be, is to be supporting the mission of the organization. And when we think that we're...
It's really sad. And many of them were COVID positive patients that were fully vaccinated that went unreported. Some of them are deaths. And it makes me very sad that all of these individuals are never going to have a voice, because that's what this represents, no voice for them.
It's important to know that in general, a report made to the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, or VAERS for short, does not mean that a vaccine or specific batches or lots of the vaccine cause the side effect. If you've had a reaction following vaccination, contact your healthcare professional and report it to VAERS at vaers.hhs.
We had asked the principal investigator, hey, did you report this to VAERS? Because people kept asking me, and he said, we report it to Pfizer, who reports it to the FDA directly. We don't go through VAERS. I'm like, okay.
When I asked for documentation, they would just ignore me. When asked about, did you report this information about the adverse side effects? And they said, yes, they reported it to their sponsor. Okay, can you give us the information? I would like to know what you reported. No, we can't do that. We already reported to our sponsor.
The doctors that have seen her so far have not found something where they thought it was research related, is what they all were telling me.
One of the first ones says related to the vaccine trial. So, and it happens within 24-hour period, all this went down. So I find it hard to believe that you're trying to steer away from that. They kept saying, these are pre-existing conditions. This is something else. This is not from the vaccine. The vaccine doesn't have these side effects.
When she was admitted, her blood sugar was at 42. She had lost 20 pounds, and then it got to the point where she couldn't swallow liquids.
Maddie.
They stabilized her. That's when they put the NG tube in.
Maddie.
We kept begging and pleading, get us some help. Help didn't come. looking through any sort of scientific articles to try and figure out what do these symptoms mean. One in particular that was written by some doctors at the NIH. They published an article that said, we need to look out for neurological conditions after the COVID vaccine. These might be potential, so we need to watch for that. So I reached out to them and I said, I saw your article and you're right. And to my surprise, they responded right away. And within 3 days of my email, we were on a telehealth visit with several of their neurologists. And it was pretty eye-opening because it seemed like they were already aware.
When the scientists chose to create the COVID-19 vaccine, they used an mRNA platform. And that mRNA basically hijacks our own cells' construction equipment to create a protein. And that protein they chose was spike protein.
The problem with this is the bastardization of the concept and the tomfoolery with nature itself, genetics. According to the manufacturers, they used the spike protein from SARS-2 as the template. The mRNA template encodes to make a spike protein. And then you have spike protein, in some cases, trafficked or brought to the membrane of the cell itself. Those cells become tagged for destruction.
When spike protein is lingering, either after having had COVID or after having had a vaccine or a series of shots, that spike protein can induce autoimmune phenomena. So when spike protein is lingering, the immune system is creating antibodies now against myelin, against the protective coating around the nerves, as well as in the brain.
So unfortunately, they chose a protein that causes our own bodies to attack our own tissue. That's a problem. That's called molecular mimicry. Perhaps my condition is from my own immune system responding to that mRNA vaccine and thinking my spinal cord was either COVID-19 virus or COVID-19 virus infected cells and attacking it, demyelinating it, and killing some of the neurons.
There's no other way for the body to see that protein as anything other than foreign. Wherever it's found, attack.
All the COVID vaccines that are available in the US cause the body to make the spike protein. And we did see the same injury happening for Johnson & Johnson, for Moderna, for Pfizer.
We began seeing a deluge of new multiple sclerosis patients, other demyelinating disorders. Usually in these patients, it is not one symptom. They have a multi-system complex disease.
The neurological system, the lymphatic system, the hepatological system, respiratory system, every system we have is being affected. There's immune dysfunction. It's basically immunological haywire. MIS, multi-system inflammatory syndrome. Basically, it's the pro-inflammatory branch or part of the immune system out of control systemically. So you get symptoms occurring, I'll call them symptoms, in many different parts of the body all at once.
I need this out, I can't do it.
When I asked my neurologist, do you think my transverse myelitis is related to the COVID shot? Quote, Joel, I don't want to get involved, end quote.
When I brought up the fact, well, what do you think about the vaccine? Because that's the only variable.
I said, no, it's not the COVID vaccination. The vaccination is safe.
I literally laughed and said, girl, this is all in your head.
I was brought in, given a room immediately, and told that I had had a heart attack and that I may have to have surgery. Hour and a half later, a nurse came into the room and said that there had been a horrible mistake and that I had had an anxiety attack. I was muffled, I was told I was wrong, I was told to go home, and I was told not to talk.
Went to my family doctor that afternoon. He immediately prescribed me with vertigo and a severe panic attack.
So they said, you know what, this is all in your head, so we're gonna get you all these antidepressants and get you out of this pain that you're making up in your head. And not only did that exacerbate my pain, but that made me go into the darkest hole of my life.
There's an episode of The Golden Girls that addresses this. Dorothy all of a sudden finds herself extremely fatigued. She knows that there's something wrong with her. She knows that there's something
different.
I have heart palpitations. I can't concentrate. I forget things.
Look, Dorothy, I don't believe you're sick. Now, you want to pursue this? You want to spend more money? That's fine with me.
So Dorothy goes to visit a number of doctors in the show.
I want you to see Michael Chang. He's a virologist on staff here at the hospital.
And it was the same kind of thing that we're seeing now. She was told that she had a mental disorder.
Don't take this the wrong way, but have you ever thought about seeing a psychiatrist?
I have seen two.
I think of that episode a lot because I see it all the time here.
We have literally been told by doctors, if this were real, we would have been told by the FDA that this can happen. They aren't saying that, so this must not be real.
There's people that have gotten diagnoses in their chart of anxiety disorder, functional neurological disorder, which is basically a medical term to say they're nuts, when really they have biologic, pathophysiological conditions that are just ignored.
Number one diagnosis with these presenting vaccine-injured patients is something called functional neurological disorder, which I will tell you in this day and age is a dangerous diagnosis. Once that diagnosis is labeled in the chart, it's very difficult to get that erased. It's the first thing that these patients are identified as when they go back to the emergency room.
CT scan came back normal. There was no growths or anything like that. And I went to see the neurologist. He had written in his record of my appointment with him that he had spoken with me at length about functional neurologic disorder, which had never occurred during that appointment. So they set me up with a referral to a well-renowned movement specialist in the city. And without even testing to see if I was experiencing high levels of stress or anxiety, she just said that functional neurologic disorder is typically caused by stress and anxiety. That's what's going on with you. Even my primary care provider, she diagnosed me with psychological conversion disorder.
So once you are labeled with a diagnosis like that, it follows you from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor, and there's no getting away from it.
I made a decision very early on that I wasn't going to turn into a bitter person because of this. You know, because that'll just make it worse for everybody. And this is already a pretty terrible situation as is.
This is not okay. You only had 2,000 kids in this trial. 1,000 of them got the vaccine. 1 in 1,000 is a lot.
But in talking to the doctors that I've talked to, I did write each one of them, and they're not telling me that they think it's research related.
They kept pushing. It's just functional. It's just functional.
When she had that officially put into her chart, it was the day before they submitted for the emergency authorization. The day before.
Today, Pfizer announced its vaccine is safe and effective and generates a robust immune response
against symptomatic disease in kids ages 12 to 15.
I'm Ernest Ramirez. I'm the father of Ernesto Ramirez Jr. I raised Junior since he was a baby. I always felt that he was going to do wonderful things in this world because I was going to try my best to teach him. I didn't want to see my son sick. And in April, I took him to get the vaccine. 5 days later, my neighbor asked me if she could take Junior and her son to go eat and go play basketball. I gave him some money. I gave him a hug and a kiss. Told him to be good. They called me if he needed anything. That was the last time I spoke to him. My neighbor called me later on, screaming that something was wrong with Junior. So I raced to the park. They were loading him up on the ambulance. And when I got to the hospital, They just acted like nothing. They just said, oh, your son's dead. Like it meant nothing.
Now, what parents really care about is what's the worst thing can happen. We do know that for males under the age of about 30, there is an increased incidence, it appears, with the vaccines of a rare side effect of an inflammation, mild inflammation of the heart called myocarditis. And it's very mild. They go to the hospital, they're looked at, observed, given a little bit of ibuprofen, a pain reliever, and they go home, and they seem to be doing just fine in follow-up as in the studies that we've been looking at.
A lot of the people with myocarditis, if they do tissue staining of people that have inflammation of their heart, again, myocarditis just means inflammation. What they'll see is it's full on staining, it's full of spike protein.
And they've done pathology on teenagers who've died after receiving the vaccine, who've died from myocarditis. And what they find pathologically is that the heart inflammation does not resemble the standard heart inflammation that you'd expect from normal myocarditis. This is inflammatory, cytokine-driven myocarditis, similar to what you'd see in multisystem inflammatory syndrome.
Look. This is my stomach content.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
The second MRI was of her brain, and when she woke up, she could not control her neck.
I'm here with you, okay? Maddie? Maddie, breathe.
Yeah, I don't even, like, you try to block it out because you don't want to remember that. From the beginning, they've ignored everything that happened to her. They acted like it didn't matter, like it was nothing.
Maddie, you can breathe, breathe. Maddie. Maddie.
You think that if something happens, they're going to do everything they can to make sure that they figure it out. They did not do that at all.
I didn't want to live like this anymore. How do I make this stop? This needs to stop. And I remember asking my husband, I was like, I need this to stop. Just help me make it stop. And my son, my beautiful boy, heard me say to my husband, just let me die. I just need to die. And that terrified him.
And as I lay in bed there, thinking, oh my God, can I live like this? Can my husband live like this? Like, what if I'm in a wheelchair forever? Like, a normal person like myself was thinking of ways to kill herself. That is not normal. And I'm not saying this for you to feel sorry for me. I'm saying this for people to understand to the depths of which this is beyond frightening. When nobody has answers, nobody has a lifeline, doctors have no idea, nobody knows how to help you, and when you do go for help, they tell you that you have anxiety and you're crazy and it's in your head.
It was really hard to explain to my 8-year-old who saw me convulsing and not able to control my body. My husband had to sit on me to hold me still. He was terrified, and I had to try to tell him I was going to be okay, knowing that I had no idea if I was going to be okay.
Like, is this going to be my life forever? How much longer can I feel this sickness? Am I gonna die tomorrow? So you're trying to like make memories with your kids, but you can't even make the memories with your kids because you're so sick. What's the future, like 2 years from now, 5 years from now? If I even make it to 5 years.
I felt that if this illness didn't go away quickly, I was thinking about ending my life. The symptoms were unbearable, and I've never been suicidal in my life.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, for the world, if I die, everybody would be better off. My wife wouldn't have to drive up there every day. She wouldn't have to worry about things.
She wrote a letter to our son, trying to explain the love that she had for him, how she was proud of him. But when I read it, it was obvious that she was trying to leave him a message for when she wasn't here. I mean, to have your wife, the mother of your children, who was perfectly fine before, now get to this place where they're writing goodbye, have a good life, be the best you can be to their child, brought me to my knees in tears. That's the only reason she didn't write one to her daughter, because she saw that.
I'll never forgive myself for what this has done to my kids, what I have done to my kids. A little boy should never have to worry about that.
This is real. I have located several people that pretty much have some of the similar issues that I have. And the only thing that they've done different was receive the vaccination.
We're supposed to work with my neurologist here with the NIH, and the NIH was recommending steroids, IVIG, plasmapheresis, those types of remedies. And my home team here wanted nothing to do with it.
When we went to the NIH, it was, we're going to figure out what this is, we're going to find out what helps, and we're going to tell everyone about it. That's what they were promising.
They told us that they were going to publish the data they were gathering on us. It felt amazing to be selected to go. They selected medical professionals, and for some reason, me.
NIH diagnosed her with non-length dependent neuropathy,
severe postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, post-vaccine neuropathy, tinnitus, and short-term memory loss.
And the IVIG has really helped to knock that down.
Here is my packet of IVIGs. This is a bunch of immune cells in here. It's not a silver bullet, it's not the cure, but it definitely is giving me my life back. So in March of 2021, I crossed paths with Dr. Denise Hertz. And she is a fierce force for good. She was injured by her COVID vaccine. And she had found 3 or 4 people at that point that were like us. Hey, Denise, it's good to see you.
Hi, Bree. Good to see you too.
After my comment that I wrote in Neurology Today, and I started getting emails from people all over the world, several women in the United States contacted me, and Bree, I believe, was the second person to contact me.
I'm expanding my diet a little bit, and I doubled my low-dose naltrexone dose, which was awesome.
That is a magical drug. I've been on it now for over a month, and it's really helping me a lot. I wish I had started it a long time ago.
And so she said, hey, let's exchange emails. So she put us all on this little email string together, and we were all relieved to be there together.
Our lives never would have collided in any way if we hadn't become ill. We live in different states and all different walks of life.
So it was really amazing to be able to finally connect with even just a few people that knew exactly what I was experiencing.
I finally connected with them. Bree was one of the ones that I connected with.
It was April or May, and she was terrified. She was scared, her daughter was in the hospital, and my way of helping her was to listen to her. And I stayed on the phone with her countless nights while we both cried about what was happening to Maddie. We commiserated, we laughed. We have a lot of really dumb inside jokes now.
Actually, I found a family. There's a core group of us. It's not a day that we don't talk. It's not a day that we don't type to each other.
As time went on, the group continued to grow, and it got bigger and bigger. So Denise and Christy Dobbs set us up in a Facebook group.
People started telling me, hey, there's a group out there of other people like you. And I joined it.
She said, okay, we have a group with a whole bunch of vaccine injured people.
And the Facebook group got really big really quick. And before we knew it, we needed another Facebook group and another. And then there were thousands of us.
At first, when I joined these groups and I started reading through everything, it was a bit overwhelming to see how many there were on there and how many symptoms there were after the vaccine.
These groups are pretty much the only help that people are getting.
Denise Hertz is on an email string with the heads of the NIH, the heads of the FDA, and the CDC, and they're all telling her, hold off, don't say anything, just give us a couple of weeks and we'll figure this out.
If you look at VAERS database, there are more than 1,000 neurological side effects already reported.
And that was March of 2021. They flew COVID vaccine injured into the NIH to be researched because of our injuries. They told us that they were going to figure this out. So we told everybody, hey, just hang on. Help is coming. The NIH is going to publish. And then that would open up the door for everybody to get care.
We've been at battle against the pandemic, and there's been damage. Seems reasonable to say, let's help these people.
So the NFL player gets on the phone with a senator and it's like, hey, check out these videos.
I'm Ron Johnson. I'm the U.S. Senator from Wisconsin. Originally, when I heard that Ken called me, I just called him up. He's a Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer. You know, I know who Ken Ruckers is, so this is kind of cool.
My name is Cheryl Rutgers. I live in Oregon. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and a grandmother.
His wife, Cheryl, had suffered a vaccine injury, and he just wanted to know, is there something I could do to help?
I want our neurological injuries to be recognized and acknowledged by the CDC and the FDA.
This is a group of people that have a very simple request. They just want to be seen. They want their stories heard. They would like to be believed.
I told Dr. Nath at the NIH that I was going to do that press conference, and he commended me for my advocacy. And he told me that there were two things that the world needed to know, and one is that this was treatable and that early intervention was key.
I just wanted to say thank you all for being here to hear these stories. As you can see, we are like family. We have suffered together for so long in a way that no one understands but us.
Unfortunately, all I could do was create a platform and hopefully trigger some compassion.
We are asking to be seen, we are asking to be heard, and we're asking to be believed. Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Wait, I gotta hide so I can like the following option.
Where are you hiding?
For corporate or group sale. Wait, no, I don't. For you, press 1.
After the press conference, we went back to the hotel, and because of my own problems, I had to go lay down. So it's like, I'm gonna go back to my room and lay down. And Maddie actually climbed up into the bed with me, and we just laid there and hung out like we were old friends.
Good, I got it.
No! Yes! 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 No! Yes! That experience was worth it just to give Maddie a sense of belonging, because that was the first time that she had interacted with anyone who had had an adverse event to the COVID vaccine.
I don't even know how to explain it. It's like she made Maddie feel like normal.
We talked about boys and all the normal things that, you know, teenagers should talk about. And so she finally felt like she wasn't alone.
Hello, thank you for calling Portland. Monica, I can help you.
Hello,
She makes me want to keep fighting and to fight harder.
Fox hosts aren't the only prominent people giving anti-vax conspiracies a platform. They're getting help from one United States senator in particular, and that is Ron Johnson.
I think the American public should be able to have informed consent when deciding whether or not to take an experimental vaccine one way or the other.
Stay in your own lane. That's the message to Senator Ron Johnson after Johnson hosted a press event Monday with people who say they experienced negative side effects from the COVID-19 vaccine.
We thought that the public would finally hear our stories and the questions would begin to be asked, the agencies would be held accountable, and we could all go back home and focus on healing.
I was hoping that those news reporters would hear the stories and have an ounce of compassion, but that's not how they treated the story.
Johnson pushes the conspiracy theory like, what? I'm just asking the question.
Senator Johnson, misinformation. Senator Johnson's misinformation panel, and guess who was still invisible?
The U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, is appealing to the nation to fight misinformation about COVID-19 and vaccines.
When it comes to misinformation, not sharing is caring, unlike what many of our moms taught us.
So within 24 hours of that first press conference that we had in Milwaukee, Facebook shut down the first of our vaccine-injured support groups.
As social media platforms step up their effort to crack down on misinformation about COVID vaccines,
misinformation litter on Facebook and Twitter.
It was very obvious that an all-out assault had begun on us on mainstream media.
Vaccine misinformation, lies about vaccines.
Disinformation is one of the biggest challenges in getting people vaccinated.
Social media as well.
Well, the company is taking down anti-vaccine videos and banning major accounts.
And within the next 5 days, they found another one, and they shut that one down.
The company reports it's now banning all anti-vax videos.
So we're regularly making sure social media platforms are aware of the latest narratives dangerous to public health.
With social media platforms, the censorship started immediately.
It was merely me telling my story, and they were saying it was misinformation.
Even if it's me saying my daughter's own personal experience, then it is fact-checked and it's false.
This is a responsibility of officials speaking, of course, on behalf of the government. It's a responsibility of members of the media.
Mainstream media is not disclosing these injuries, and that's intentional.
While Facebook says it's working hard to fight misinformation, removing 18 million COVID-19 falsehoods so far.
And to be told that your life story is false information, how would that make you feel?
We're dealing with a life or death issue here, and so everybody has a role to play in making sure there's accurate information.
So if you're ever wondering why you're not seeing vaccine injuries in the news, well, it's a multi-layered issue.
It's important to take faster action against harmful posts. As you all know, information travels quite quickly on social media platforms.
They get threatened by health officials, university institutions, medical institutions.
We engage with them regularly, and they certainly understand what our asks are.
These support groups are a lifeline for people. This is all that they have.
Good afternoon, wherever you're located. Thanks. If everyone wants to just introduce themselves, it might be helpful, and then we can introduce who's on from the FDA.
After we got these meetings set up with the FDA, thankfully through my home senator here, Senator Lee.
So I'm Peter Marks, Director of Center for Biologics.
Peter Marks, head of biologics, is the guy that is supposed to evaluate the safety and the efficacy of these vaccines. As you can tell, we've got thousands of people that are having issues with the neurological side effects to the COVID vaccines. We're currently involved with research at the NIH, but the research at the NIH has been kind of mired and slowed. I confirmed with Janet Woodcock, the head of the FDA, as well as with the researchers that we were working with at the NIH, that I knew that they were talking to each other. And after that, NIH went radio silent. I wanted to make sure that they got a perspective from medical professionals. One of these physicians is a critical care physician. She's trying to hang on to her medical license. I'm going to protect her identity.
Thank you, Bree, for inviting me. And Dr. Marks, it's really wonderful to meet you. As you know, the physician community holds FDA guidance in incredibly high esteem. After the FDA communications about myocarditis came out, both the ER and cardiology teams were tuned to look for it. Our patient care dramatically improved, all due to the FDA advisory.
They disclosed myocarditis to the medical community, and the medical community was given the green light to actually identify myocarditis and look for it and help their patients, and also report myocarditis.
So the FDA is not naming additional adverse reactions to the vaccine because the passive surveillance systems aren't displaying it. But the passive surveillance systems aren't displaying it because physicians are blinded to the adverse reactions in their patients and thus aren't reporting them. And it's resulted in a negative feedback loop. And I believe that this loop is the reason why we are having a hard time getting recognition from the FDA regarding our neurologic reactions. So we are really hoping to have a conversation with you that has more specific details with how the FDA has looked into things such as small fiber neuropathy, dysautonomia, and general neuropathy.
It's not like we can just cluster neurologic symptoms in general. So is the majority of folks with this, is it dysautonomia? What would you say are kind of the top three? It doesn't have to be just one, but what are the top couple of things that you think we should be looking for?
It is obvious from that question they have not looked specifically for any of these things.
There's 88 distinct search terms on VAERS when you curate to indicate a neuropathy. So I'm hoping we can look at all of them.
Yes, please feel free to send that to us. Yep, that would be helpful.
Ask a preschool teacher and a critical care physician for 88 terms of neuropathy. We'll hand it over. We'll get that to you.
You know, in the meantime, I hope that things get better for you both. And we'll continue to look into things. Thanks.
Now, concerns are growing in Israel after some fully vaccinated adults got infected with the coronavirus. The country had one of the fastest vaccination programs in the world, but now cases there are rising again, fueled by the Delta variant.
Breakthrough case numbers are on the rise due to the Delta variant.
469 cases in Massachusetts, 74% were fully vaccinated.
Delta came to the United States and started evading the vaccines.
The first question is, why isn't the United States looking in our own backyard for our data? But they were. They just weren't telling us what it said. I've been working with healthcare claims data for over 25 years, and the data that I do have access to, which I'm really grateful for, is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid database. This database is so huge that it covers nearly 40% of the United States population, and I started to feel like I was the only one looking at it, because I think I was. 80% of the vaccinated over 65 population, an estimated 71% of COVID cases occurred in fully vaccinated individuals.
You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
The breakthrough rate was 62%. What this says to me is the vaccine wasn't working, and they lied about it.
Recent data indicates there is only one confirmed positive case per 5,000 fully vaccinated Americans per day.
Instead of Rochelle Walensky, Janet Woodcock at the FDA, and the President of the United States being open and honest about the limitations of the COVID vaccines, they redirected all of that anger and frustration on the small, unvaccinated minority. So then came the
pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Pandemic of the unvaccinated. This is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Pandemic of the unvaccinated. Now, that's what the CDC says we're dealing with as the U.S. sees a new rise in COVID-19 cases.
What we really need to do at this point is to make vaccination the easy choice. It needs to be hard for people to remain unvaccinated.
Now we need to go to community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, and oftentimes door to door, literally knocking on doors, to get help to the remaining people protected from the virus.
Tonight, a new study on the COVID-19 vaccines found more cases of heart inflammation than expected among members of our U.S. military.
My name is Lieutenant Colonel Teresa Long. I'm a Army flight surgeon, and I have a master's in public health. I'm an aerospace and occupational medicine specialist. Right out the bat, when they came out and they just had this stance that it was safe and effective for absolutely everybody. It was just blatantly absurd.
Medical experts say side effects from vaccines nearly always occur within a couple weeks of a person being vaccinated.
Most adverse events occur within about a month and a half of vaccination. So I think we're hoping that if we see major ones, we'll see it then.
People got their first vaccination, and then they had to wait 2 weeks, and then they got their second vaccination. And according to regulators, they weren't vaccinated until 2 weeks after that.
For the first 2 weeks after you have been injected, you're classified as unvaccinated. And that's true after the second dose in the case of a 2-dose vaccine.
30 days past vaccination administered within the past 30 days. That's what that says.
It's a statistical sleight of hand, delaying the time at which they assign the word vaccinated to an individual. If you then compare on a chart people who died, who were unvaccinated and vaccinated, we would be shown a wrong cohort of people that died after vaccination.
We're actually seeing vaccine injuries But according to their own established timelines, these people were unvaccinated.
So every time you go in to see your medical provider in a clinic, you have to assign a diagnosis code to why you were there.
This person had a pretty normal health life up until the time of the vaccine. 6 days after the vaccine date, they have a cardiac arrest and they die. But what's also important to note here is the secondary diagnosis. They have coded a T code, which is poisoning by unspecified drugs, biological substances, accidental. What does this mean?
What if they died because they had an anaphylactic adverse event to the COVID shot? I highly doubt their primary diagnosis is going to be adverse event to COVID vaccine. First of all, the code doesn't exist. That's how these numbers can be manipulated. They can be manipulated so we can't search them, but they also can be manipulated to really hide them.
The distribution of the data is not being portrayed properly because the definition is wrong. It's flawed. It's intentional.
The pandemic of the unvaccinated was, in fact, a pandemic of vaccine injuries.
That is the pandemic of the unvaccinated.
I kept having more and more unusual things coming up in our population. More and more people kept coming and talking to me about their horrible side effects from the vaccine. I stop and I think, I should go look in that database, the DMED. So I get on the computer and have access to it, and I start plugging in ICD codes. And the numbers are just unreal. So I call Lieutenant Colonel Pete Chambers.
My name is Pete Constantine Chambers, retired Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army Special Operations. I was also a flight surgeon with the United States Army Green Berets. When I lost the ability to go to my command, I went to a congressman. I went to 2 congressmen. I went to 3. Nobody wanted to talk about it until finally Senator Johnson came forward and said, I'm looking for whistleblowers. And I had been talking to Dr. Teresa Long, a Lieutenant Colonel, flight surgeon out of Fort Rucker, Alabama, and she said, look at the DMED data. Defense Medical Epidemiology Database. Look at that data. I pulled up the DMED data and went, whoa, neurologic events up 1,100% since the shots rolled out. 11x rise.
The DoD data at this point, as well as the Medicare database, they both talk about how neurological disorders are happening at a much higher rate than myocarditis, and they still can't find it.
Have not found a rate of transverse myelitis, for instance, that is higher than would be expected in the population.
So this is transverse myelitis. So essentially 2021 had as many cases as the preceding 4 or 5 years before it.
That's the main part of defining a safety signal. Is it out of the ordinary?
I don't have the data to be able to make a connection yet.
The average number of adverse event reports to VAERS over the past 30 years for all vaccines combined is 39,000, more or less. Compare that to 1.4 million reports. You don't have to consider it to see a deplorable safety profile.
There's a database that exists in the government realm called the Social Security Administration Death Master File. And this file has roughly 90 million records in it. And it captures 85 to 90% of deaths in the United States. So what I did was compare each month for the prior 5 years.
For these mRNA vaccines, there is incredible BS out there about like thousands of people dying, etc. That just ain't true.
We are seeing right now the highest death rates we have ever seen in the history of this business. It's not just at One America. The data is consistent across every player in that business.
When comparing the DMED data to VAERS and to other data banks around the world, to include actuaries from insurance companies, when you compare those, they virtually line up the same.
I don't want to think that these things are so dangerous that they're causing this much excess and injuries in my fellow people. But it really, really looks like that's the truth.
They continue to query the various databases, the large databases for neurologic adverse events, still have not seen a signal.
You explain to me. Everybody explain to me. Regulators explain to me. Why is this not being investigated as a safety signal? Wow, yeah, we need a lot of answers from a lot of people.
And then she started work because she's 16, that was her first job, and then her legs just like buckled on her, and then these falling incidents started.
Okay, yeah, so that's POTS then. Every single day. Why it is the responsibility of sick people to do this is beyond me. We've got desperate, scared people. Yeah, this kid deserves better. Maddie deserves better.
Well, good morning and welcome. I first want to thank all the participants. Many of these individuals have a very difficult time traveling. As Bree and Maddie and Stephanie are well aware of, telling the truth in today's cancel culture is not necessarily easy.
We came up with this idea for a panel with lots of experts and lots of injured. That's when we decided to call Senator Ron Johnson.
It's a real shame that we're having to hold this roundtable. Had government officials, the heads of our healthcare agencies, had they been doing their job, had they been honest and transparent with the American public, we wouldn't be here today. We have turned all the data into information. We need to keep building on it and building it and building it until it's irrefutable and it can't be ignored. Vaccine injuries are rare and mild until one happens to you or your loved one.
First, take note that the principal investigator for Maddie's trial is the lead author for the New England Journal of Medicine article.
We have now gotten the internal report that Pfizer submitted to the FDA explaining what happened to Maddie. The principal investigator paid by Pfizer says that he does not, quote, feel the vaccine is related to Maddie's injuries, despite all of the medical records, initial emergency reports reflecting that it was the vaccine.
Sorry that things are. Sorry not fixing it, but you know this is related to the vaccine. That's what kills me. How do you say that it's not related?
And we have the email that Peter Marks, Mr. Just a Minute, who's deciding on licensing COVID-19 vaccine, says. Principal investigator says I don't feel it's related. Done. That was it. That is your regulatory authority in action.
In the EUA amendment, Maddie's adverse reaction was reduced to 5 lines that they claim was eventually diagnosed as functional abdominal pain. It's a stomach ache.
Because my reaction was so severe, AstraZeneca told me I was not allowed to get the second dose.
In the trial report, it says that no serious safety concerns were identified. They also go on to say that 180 people withdrew. 266 people experienced an adverse event leading to trial discontinuation. 56 of those were considered neurological.
For us to make some kind of a statement publicly, we have to find the data in our database that says that in a group of vaccinated individuals versus a group of unvaccinated individuals, that we have some type of signal.
Where's the unvaccinated background that they're using? Where are those people? Because he says they need them.
How many studies do you run where you take the placebo group and give them vaccine too?
After the end of May, we have lost the placebo group, so we cannot really say anything about the duration of vaccine efficacy after that. There's no more efficacy data, basically, after that.
So they're not the control group anymore. Isn't that the purpose of a study? To have a control? Really? To have a control. But there is no control now. Well, you vaccinated everybody.
No, but
But you're trying to do that to try to provide protection. Yeah, no, you think it's providing protection.
You've erased your control group. You have no comparison. So it looks like anything that happens is just common and normal because you have no reference to compare it to.
Well, I think the term deliberately deficient by design is appropriate.
I, along with several injured physicians, continued to reach out to the FDA through emails, phone calls. We did video conferences with Peter Marks and Janet Woodcock, constant emails with Janet Woodcock and myself directly. While the FDA was telling you to go get your shot, we were meeting with them behind closed doors about the COVID vaccine injured.
Excuse me a favor, could you explain to me a little bit more why they can't get medical care? I'm really trying to understand that.
Until someone says, hey, it's okay to say there might be something wrong with this patient because of their vaccine, we're not going to get anywhere. We have literally asked and we have begged repeatedly for them to acknowledge these reactions.
They're trying to do the best and not give you misinformation because we rush stuff.
In the meantime, our lives are misinformation. They know that their lack of acknowledgement has created insurmountable barrier to our ability to receive medical care from doctors who rely on these agencies for information.
Or until they have kind of definitive evidence that something is related, it will not go on the label.
If you have this reaction, that reaction, that reaction, Maddie's reaction, Doug's reaction, the government won't help you. The drug companies won't help you. Your medical teams will have no idea what to do with you. You are on your own. We invited our senators, heads of the NIH, the heads of HHS, the head of the FDA, the head of CDC. They were all invited. None of them showed up. They didn't even send a representative.
Pfizer is forecasting $15 billion in revenue. The company's total sales reached almost $26 billion.
The company is expecting to set another record this year.
Now the FDA, almost half of its funding comes from pharma. So pharma pays to get a drug approved.
Yeah, FDA is all about food and drug safety, and they've just looked the other way. They've ignored their own safety surveillance systems. Instead, what they're doing is they're covering for the vaccine industry, for big pharma. They won't allow the public to even ask the questions.
If you look at the FDA, it's a revolving door with the boards of pharma. So somebody sits at the head of the FDA, and now they're sitting on the board of Pfizer. So you have this intertwining corporate interest at the FDA.
Joining us right now is Dr. Scott Gottlieb. He's former FDA commissioner, and he also serves on the boards of both Pfizer and Illumina.
Medical boards started coming after physicians' licenses if you so much as question what they're saying.
How many of you personally have witnessed censorship, intimidation, or professional reprisal and damage as a result of your advocacy for patients?
Why are they destroying these doctors? Well, they want to make an example of them so that nobody else steps out of line or starts asking questions or reports adverse events in the VAERS system.
Methodist Hospital threatened their doctors. You cannot sign medical exemptions. You cannot talk about, you cannot report adverse reactions to these vaccines.
If they put down that it was a vaccine injury, the physician, the corporation, the hospital, the clinic, they actually won't get reimbursed, so it gets labeled as anxiety.
Transparency was likewise abandoned. Along with several colleagues, I had to file a FOIA request to obtain the Pfizer vaccine clinical trial data from the FDA.
Instead of trying to figure out how to release this information, they appealed to the courts requesting 55 years. All this time, they're meeting with us. Obviously, you guys know that you have a huge stack of documents that have been mandated or required that you guys have to release them, and you guys are going through and you requested 50 years. So if you can imagine for the vaccine injured, that was like a big kick in the pants.
That's not going to help here. I can just say that with absolute certainty, because that's not what's at that has manufacturing information. It has clinical trial information that will have to be redacted.
The agency came back saying that it wanted 75 years to release this data.
FDA supported Pfizer in their desire to withhold that trial information for 75 years or 100, a very long period of time, okay, and basically keep it hidden until we're all dead and gone.
I don't think that you'd actually find the answer to the problems that are going on.
They found their syndromes in there that they were told for months don't exist.
There were nearly 26,000 reports of nervous system disorder.
And you know what, it'll come out in the wash and you'll see, I don't think there's anything being hidden here. None of us are denying that there are potential vaccine injury here. No one here is denying what's going on here. I'm not denying that doesn't. Just so we step back. No one's denying it. Just so you understand.
Right. So you guys know we exist. We know that you know that we exist, but the public doesn't think that you guys know that we exist. If this was a marriage, Peter Marks would have been divorced a long time ago. There is not a single promise that he is held up to.
I got contacted by attorney Tom Renz over the weekend. He showed me the data that is being extracted from, what is the name of this database?
DMED. It's the Defense Medical Database.
They have noticed a very alarming increase in instances of certain conditions compared to a 5-year average.
Senator Johnson, to the camera, he says,
the Department of Defense, the Biden administration is on notice. They must preserve these records, and this must be investigated.
Less than 24 hours, the system went down. We couldn't get on. We couldn't find anything. We couldn't do anything. About 48 hours later, it came back up.
The database was frozen by the DoD. And then the next week, all of a sudden, all the previous 5 years' number came up.
What they did was they took this data that went up 1,100%, and they just brought all this data up like this, or to match. So it looked like there was no real change.
So are we really to believe that the United States military, a younger, healthy population than the general U.S. populations, had an incidence of pulmonary embolisms almost 3.2 times the national average? And we just didn't know that we had a problem with pulmonary embolisms in the military?
They thought they pulled one over on us. They didn't. They didn't, because then we went back and looked at data from 2001 to 2015 and showed where they shifted the data and cheated.
You have to understand that once you have the most accurate data system in the world glitched, it's no longer useful to us.
Mr. Kennedy, in your opening statement, you introduced us to this word malinformation.
The term malinformation was coined to describe information that Facebook and Twitter and the other social media sites understood was true, but that the White House and other federal agencies wanted censored anyway for political reasons.
If a government can silence criticism, it's a license to commit any other kind of atrocity. You can just sweep all the other rights away and nobody will know about it.
We did generally defer to the government on some of these policies that in retrospect I probably wouldn't, knowing what I know now.
The first right that they took from us at the outset of this pandemic was the right to speak.
Anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down.
White House Press Secretary Psaki stated, and I quote, "We are in regular touch with these social media platforms."
Facebook should provide publicly and transparently data on the reach of COVID-19, COVID vaccine misinformation, not just engagement, but the reach of the misinformation.
We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation. Psaki also stated
that we have recommended, proposed that they create a robust enforcement strategy.
Create a robust enforcement strategy.
Who's telling you to take down things that
it was
that talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration.
We've seen many pages of emails between Mr. Flaherty and social media platforms where he relentlessly badgers them to increase the censorship of ordinary Americans' free speech on social media, and he gets results.
Who is Rob Flaherty?
His level is deputy assistant to the president.
These people from the Biden administration would call up our team and scream at them and curse.
You see the platforms agreeing to censor things that are truthful, that do not violate their policies at the behest and at the pressure of the White House.
The Virality Project would send reports every single week on everything going on in the United States and even the world that would cause vaccine hesitancy. Little did I know that my moves, everything from the meetings that I was having with Senator Mike Lee, the briefings that we had with Senator Ron Johnson, all of it was being tracked and sent in a lovely little package to brief the White House. Then Robert Flaherty was the one that took that information and told social media who they needed to silence.
We see email after email after email from the White House, from Mr. Flaherty, pressuring specifically Facebook, but also other social media platforms to take down disfavored viewpoints. And the emphasis in those emails is on true content.
They pushed us super hard to take down things that were true.
Any truth, any information that just might increase vaccine hesitancy is not allowed.
The true content is what they perceive to be doing the most to undermine the narrative that the White House favored at the time.
Once you start censoring, you're on your way to dystopia and totalitarianism. There's never been a time in history when we look back and the guys who were censoring people were the good guys.
Thousands of anti-vaxxers marched against mandates on the National Mall
to protest vaccine and mask mandates.
The Defeat the Mandates rally was largely organized on Facebook and some internet forums.
And extremist websites that spread COVID misinformation.
Thousands of far right-wing nuts joined thousands of far left-wing nuts for what was billed as a Defeat the Mandates rally. And you think at this point...
Whatever political party you identify with, you are welcome here. If you are vaccinated or unvaccinated, you are welcome here.
Thank all of you for coming out today and to stand up for our children and for the United States Constitution.
We were invited to attend and present at an event in Washington, D.C. All of the vaccine injured that came to that event, we all had been carrying this burden of hate. As much as all of us thought we had been letting it roll off our backs, we didn't realize just how much of that we had been hanging on to. That's when we launched React 19.
The team of injured people at React 19 saw my story and reached out. I broke down in tears as I realized I wasn't alone in the search for answers. That was when I met this beautiful group of people behind me. Look them in their eyes. Acknowledge their suffering. Admit this is real, not just rare.
It was the first time since this whole thing started for me that I was met face to face with people that believed me. All of that hate that we had been absorbing for months, it melted away. And in that place, it was just replaced with love and respect. For once, someone actually could see us for who we really were.
Please consider giving generously to React 19. 100% of the funds raised will go directly to the COVID vaccine injured for their medical expenses.
A big, we did it. We launched the compensation fund. Now, going into these events, we can say, look, this program is running. Not that it will run, but that it's running. We have no corporate donors. It's all independent, everyday people that are contributing to get these people better. We're doing the government's job with no money and a lot of power against us.
There's a young girl that was misdiagnosed as functional neurological disorder. Basically, she was told she was crazy. She was actually admitted to an inpatient psychiatric ward for 3 weeks. We got involved and ended up getting her a grant for $10,000.
She gets IVIG, brain fog goes down, psychosis starts to wane, she gets up and walking. She's no longer in diapers, she's no longer in a wheelchair.
Reading the stories of the injured and when we read these applications is heartbreaking. Reading the stories of the injured kids, it's the worst. But, I mean, it drives me to continue to move forward and to help whoever we can.
Hello?
Hi, this is Brianne Dressen.
Hey, thanks for returning my call. It's just horrible. I don't know what to do. Everything is gonna be another nightmare of 5 years.
I'm sorry. Let's get you some of your life back, okay? Does that sound like a plan? Yeah.
There's so many people that's suffering too. And no one believes them.
This was when I was really all alone and everyone was telling me I was crazy, and I was kind of begging the universe for it to be MS. I would just be like, it's making something that's popular and I'm not like outcast. Yeah, no, it's not the most taboo thing to happen to me. Good thing is I've come a long way since then, so that's actually a good feeling. I actually know what's going on in my body as opposed to thinking it's all in my head and I'm a crazy person.
I don't understand. I'm so frustrated. I'm so angry.
It is really hard to watch this. It's that connection of that PTSD that has just developed through the years of this. I luckily stumbled across the U.S. Senate hearing where Bree was speaking, and that's when I found Bree. And I was just in awe of her. And a lot of her symptoms were very similar to mine and the hell that she was going through, and she's very similar age to me, so I really resonated with her. I didn't want to do this, I didn't. But it's the task at hand, and I'm really stubborn, so I'm gonna keep going.
After a year and a half of struggles and meeting with the FDA, giving them data, going back and forth, and mountains of empty promises, we had a bunch of injured come to Washington, D.C. They paid their way, they sacrificed their health to be here. And
I'm happy to start. I'm Peter Marks, Director of the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research.
They hid behind a monitor once again.
I really appreciate hearing what we heard today, and we'll continue to work towards trying to understand what is, the safety profile of these vaccines as best as we can. We don't have any secrets here. I take what you've said today seriously, and we will continue to work through this. So thank you. Take care. Thanks.
I would like to begin my testimony by detailing the difficulty of its drafting. On June 23rd, 2021, I went to obtain my second COVID vaccine. I did so because I believed that it was in my best interest to insulate myself and my family. I went as a whole, healthy and optimistic young man. I went and left there a cripple. I was dismissed, insulted, and felt utterly abandoned by the most advanced medical system in the world. My single mother and younger brother have lovingly walked through this journey with me, but I cannot help but recognize that my disability has in many ways expanded to them. We have suffered together through displacement, hospital stays, ambulance rides, specialists, struggling to maintain what normalcy can be availed to us. I could go on. The allotted time is far too short to give full breath to the horrors I've experienced and to all that I have lost. But in my final moments with you, I ask, how long? How long until we are acknowledged? I have faith that something can be done, but we must be willing to look at this. People must be willing to look at us with open eyes and a compassionate heart. Again, I ask, how long?
It's hard to tell our stories. It's not easy. But we're going to fight, and we're going to stand for truth. Our lives depend on the truth coming out.
I don't have to be out here in the world fighting or trying to protect people, but I do. I choose it. I choose to do that for my son in his honor. Because if I don't stand up and speak, who's going to do it? It's just, I feel it's the right thing to do.
The hope in all of this lies in, and this is what the injured keep pushing for, right? Recognition. Because once it's recognized and acknowledged that this is happening, the conversation can start, right?
Dr. Budd, I came to you sick and scared, and you dismissed me. You didn't have the answer, and instead of saying, I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with you, you made me feel crazy, like I had made it all up. You dismissed me. Is that your caring profession? Is that healing? No one deserves that kind of treatment, Dr. Budd. No one.
If you look back on all of this and people say, well, why did this happen? What's going on? The easy answer is if you want to know what's going on, follow the money. But if you want to know the truth, look at who's being silenced.
We are a long way from the end of the story. The battle has only just begun.
This movie, it's going to be labeled an anti-vax movie. Anti-vaxxers, trying to gain momentum, trying to kill people, murderers. It's coming. This is what a murderer looks like. I want to go back to what I call normal life. Wrap my arms around my kids, tell them I love them, joke with them, skip rocks on a lake, color with them, sing with them, make them food that they'll complain about, not want to eat.
We have a saying in our relationship, and it's no matter what. Through all the struggles and trials, at the end of it, it would always come back to, I choose you, you choose me, no matter what.
You know, someday, Dr. Budd, you're going to be on the other side of the table. And as angry as I am, and as angry as I always will be, I still wish you a better doctor than you were to me.
I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up on these people.